So that's 4 losses for Man City on the bounce now. And next weekend, they go to Anfield. They play Liverpool.
I know, are they going to lose again?
So Arsenal are back. We saw from them what we saw at the best times last year, right?
Yeah, and looking at the fixtures, I think we're going to win our next 6 games and we're back in the title race.
Amorim not finding life in the Premier League quite as straightforward as he thought. 1-1.
Yeah, we'll get used to it, mate. This is not the Portuguese league anymore. Hello and welcome to the Know The Score podcast. Welcome back. It's with me, Luke Kempner, and alongside me is Harry Daniels. Hello, Harry.
How are we doing?
Very, very good. We've basically, you've missed 10 minutes of behind the scenes because
of absolute gold.
Absolute gold, because the football has been incredible this weekend, and now it's back. And it's not just back today, Saturday. It's back. There's probably a match going on right now.
It's like if you include the Championship, there is like one day between now and the 5th of January without football on. Including the Champions League, Premier League and Championship.
I love it because
Conference League.
Tonight we've still got Newcastle, West Ham. Then we've got Champions League.
Then we've got Champions League again. Then we've got Thursday.
Chelsea, you're in that little conference thing, aren't you?
Yeah. And then on Friday Night Football.
Is there Friday Night Football?
Yeah.
Oh my God! This is so exciting. So thank you so much for coming back. And if this is your first time watching or listening to us, welcome.
Thank you.
We're looking for 300 likes on the video.
We hit 306 last week.
Way! I told you it was possible.
Yeah, we're not going any higher.
No. 300. It's consistent. We're going for 300. And thank you for all your comments.
Yeah, I went last week. So in last week's pod, we read out some nice comments. And I went into the comments this week to read out some nice ones again.
Oh, no.
And they're all just, Luke's got a cold. Luke
needs to stop sneezing.
Luke needs this and that.
Also, some of you got the little bonus, 2 minutes of me going, can we stop? I need to sneeze.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know what to say other than I still am sneezing. I have some tissues down here. It's November.
Better. It sounds better.
It's a bit better?
Bit better.
I don't know if I was allergic to the jacket I was wearing.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
This feels better.
I want to send a task for someone listening on podcast. I want a first comment on podcast. So subscribe, and if you are listening on podcast, rate us a 5-star review. But we want our first comment on Spotify.
Have we not had a comment on Spotify?
I don't know.
That's embarrassing. I'm going to comment.
All right.
Great stuff.
Anyway.
Okay, so let's get cracking.
Yeah, nice weekend.
Very nice weekend.
I put my Christmas tree up.
Pathetic.
Why?
It's November.
Yeah, but it's like 1 week to December.
Do you know what? I went to see Santa.
Well, that's worse.
I know. The thing is, I was looking for things to take my daughter to do, and there's a brilliant place nearby us that does it's like a Christmas village.
Okay.
Right, so we went there. I thought we'd look at the Christmas decorations. There's only 3.
Did you go for her or for you?
Definitely for me.
Yeah.
But they've got like Christmas train sets.
Nice.
They've got that, and I love Christmas, man.
Yeah.
I am so a Christmas guy.
Yeah.
Right, so we went there, and I didn't realise Santa's Grotto was massively open. Right, 40-minute Christmas Santa experience.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've been to Santa school. We're digressing, but when I used to work on Steph's Pack Lunch, I did a whole video where I went to Santa school and I learned how to be Santa. And the Santa that I went to visit on Saturday was fine, but
you do a better job.
I actually would.
You said, you out, I'll go in.
I could. Do you know what? Listen, right? Any Santas who are watching, right? Or Santa's always watching, to be fair, to see who's on the naughty or the nice list.
We've got a few on the naughty list this weekend.
Yeah, very nice segue.
Whoa.
He's probably an Arsenal fan wearing in red and white. But it's Santa's, right? You've got to find out the kid's name. Don't ask the kid's name because Santa knows a kid's name, right? So you either got to get it from your elves. So the elves should have the names on the list and come in and read them out. Or you go, you ask their name, right? So if I say, what's your name, young man?
Harry.
Hello, Harry. And how old are you, Harry?
26.
26, of course, because you were 25 last year, weren't you? Now, to that, a kid goes, he remembered I was 25 last year. Now, I know even you had your mind blown then.
Oh, wow.
But you've got to find out the kid's name, because Santa would know.
All right.
Right, so that annoyed me, but it was very good, and it did get me in the Christmas spirit. But it's the 1st of December next Sunday, so we're going to put it up next.
Well, exactly.
Sunday.
I want a tree up, and the issue is we are not in London for Christmas.
Right. So you're going to do the Deckies in London as well?
So we've done the Deckies in London.
Yeah, I just wanted you to say Deckies.
And the middle of December, we then go to visit my family and Holly's family. So if we don't put them up now, we basically don't get them.
You're not going to get the enjoyment.
They've got to go up.
Fair enough.
Earlier.
Okay.
One person.
Well, it was a Christmas cracker of a weekend. I just wanted to do a better segue than you. No. What was yours going?
Someone who's on the naughty list.
Yes, very good. Very
Roy
good.
Keane.
Roy Keane, yeah. He sort of was going, he went up and squared up
To an Ipswich fan.
To an Ipswich fan. He didn't quite
square up is harsh.
But he went down, he goes, see you in the car park. We discussed it in the car park. You want to wait in the car park? We discussed it in the car park. And I don't know what happened, because it was an Ipswich fan.
Yeah, we need more impressions. People like the impressions.
But he'd had a problem with him.
Yeah.
And he goes, I got something to see you in the car park. We discussed it in the car park.
We never know what the Ipswich fan said. That's the issue. I find it quite hard to comment. I mean, it feels aggressive in the first place, whatever the Ipswich fan said. And, Roy Keane, and whether it's managers, whether it's players, whether it's pundits, you're in that position and you have to be the one that's managed, respectful. And the fan, although fans say what they want, like, you have to be the one that's a bit
what they want. But my question really was, are pundits fair game? Right? They're paid a lot of money. They spout off their opinions.
Yeah.
Are they fair game? Now, my argument is personal abuse is never fair.
No. Is anyone fair game?
Well, no.
Well,
right?
Exactly.
But I think that there has to be... I think Roy Keane has this persona of, like, he's I say what I think. I'm a hard man. I'm forthright in my opinions. But that doesn't mean that you can be at the side of the pitch going, Roy, where's he from? It's Roy. I don't like what you just said there, Roy. How dare you?
Can you just do the whole pod, just you talking to
I will.
people?
Roy, how dare you? Rory Delap was fantastic. Liam Delap was fantastic. Let's see in the car park. But I just think you've got to be... I think people forget that pundits are part of a production of entertainment, right?
So do you think Roy Keane puts it on? And you think, like, Michael Richards puts it on to some extent?
No, I don't. Well, a bit.
Yeah, I think there's times, particularly
like Robbie Savage. You listen to Robbie Savage on the football phone-ins, right? And he's going, right. So you, Roman Kemp, because Roman Kemp was doing it. Robbie Savage goes, Roman Kemp. So you pleased the Tottenham. You pleased the Tottenham won 4-0. You're pleased the Tottenham won 4-0. And it's like, no, he's not. But he knows that gets the callers to phone in, right? So that's put on.
Yeah.
But I think there does have to be, where I will argue, is that when I was watching the Tottenham Liverpool Southampton game, Southampton Liverpool game, and like Jamie Carragher's, who's a co-commentator who should be unbiased, right? We know he's a Liverpool fan,
that's the
and
thing.
he's going, oh, that's excellent for Gravenberch. Well done, son. And I'm like, nah.
We're 7 minutes in and we've got 7 impressions in already.
Yeah, no, but this is just for you. I know you enjoy it, but that annoyed me. I think there's got to be like they have to be unbiased.
Yeah.
As best they can.
Yeah. And I suppose that's made worse because Roy Keane in this situation is a Manchester United fan and presumably was being unfair. I don't know, because we don't know what was said in the first instance apart from, I see you in a car park.
Yeah.
I
see you in the car park.
I think Roy Keane's got to be careful in
I
that
love
situation.
the idea of there being a car park outside. Like,
when Jose Mourinho stood outside waiting for the referee, there's that picture of him when I think it was at Real Madrid and he just stood in the car park waiting for the referee. It reminded me of that. Yeah, think
fans don't park in the car park.
No.
That's what when you play FIFA, sometimes they play them out. You're the person who's parked his car in a car park, please move the reg as soon as you can. Thank you. I'm like, no one drives to the football.
Yeah. Roy Keane needs to be careful. I do think, you've got to be pretty ballsy to have a go at someone like Roy Keane, but anyone like that in public. Like, we're in the age now where online and that sort of stuff is really, really bad. Yeah. And I'm sure like Roy Keane and players and managers get it awfully. And they're paid a lot of money, but to then go and do it to someone in person, especially, I think is really bad.
I think it's bad online. I know I'm not saying you think it's good online, but I think it's bad wherever. But I do think that online encourages people to think, I can say what I want.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? I can say what I want because I pay my money. And it's like, no, you can't be abusive to people.
You remind me of that comedian. I can't remember his name now.
Who?
Oh, I can't remember.
A good one. A good comedian.
Yeah.
That's nice that I remind you of a good comedian.
Yeah.
Who talks like that? I don't know.
I can't remember.
Right, it will come to you. But the point is that I think fans, just get back in your box, right? Yeah. I don't even like fans like, you'll be sat at a game and he'll go, I remember sat next to someone when Jackie spoke and I go, oh, Xhaka, he always does this. Oh, and I used to be like, shut up. Like, how on earth do you think this is helping?
Yeah.
Like, and I remember when Xhaka got booed off, and when Xhaka got booed off.
Was that the day he took his shirt off?
Yeah.
And threw it on the floor?
Yeah, against Palace. And I DM'd Granit Xhaka.
Oh.
To say, I can't believe what happened to you today, man. That was really awful. We support you all the way. And,
did he reply?
No, he did not reply. But I'm proud to this day that I supported him, even when he got booed off.
All right. So the moral of the story is don't give people abuse, and Roy Keane, don't rise to it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Do you know what? I'm not even annoyed at Roy Keane for that.
No.
I think like when you get enough of that, just go, you should be able to give it back.
Yeah.
This is why I think Havertz can shush the Chelsea fans when he's been getting it.
Embarrassing.
Okay.
Anyway,
right. Big match of the weekend. What are you picking?
You want to do another accent?
Go on.
Oh, mate.
Oh, no. You started this, mate. You send me. You send me the voiceover, the voice note again, and it's your big Ange Postecoglou impression, and it always sounds like you're slightly constipated, mate.
They were just 2-0 up, and I was like, well, this is going to be fantastic, because we're either going to get Spurs are going to bottle it, and they're going to go all Spursy, or Man City are going to lose again, and it was just perfect.
Well, as a Chelsea fan, who's in the title race,
yes,
were you happy that Spurs won?
Happy. I don't think there's any fan in the country that doesn't support Man City that is not enjoying what we are seeing happening to Manchester City at the moment. I don't think, even if you're an Arsenal fan, a Chelsea fan, seeing that result, like, okay, I'd rather it not be Spurs that beat them, but there's not one fan out there that isn't a Manchester City fan that isn't loving what's going on.
But I know that the listeners and the viewers do tend to get on at me about being a little Arsenal biased, which I am, but I can't help but watch it and go, oh, why did they do this last season or the season before?
Yeah.
Why did they play like this season when we've had a wobble and Liverpool win every game?
Yeah.
So I found it a tinge. I did enjoy it, but there was a tinge of me that was like, But maybe with City playing Liverpool next week, do you think they turn it around? Do you think they lose again?
I think they lose again.
So do I.
Yeah.
That's what's in my predictions. They've in 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
They've lost in the Premier League.
5 games in all competitions now.
Well, they got finaled, haven't they, in the week? So I suspect they'll get something there.
Well, they've lost 5.
They've lost 5 in all competitions, but 3 in the Prem.
Yeah.
So it could be 4 Premier League games in a row if they lose to Liverpool.
Yeah. Let's start by talking about a team who, although the headlines will be on Manchester City from this game, but Spurs were fantastic, and it might be the most Spursy month I've seen in a long time. Like, they lose to Palace and they lose to Ipswich and they beat Villa 4-1 and they beat City in the Cup and then they beat City 4-0 in the league. Like, name me a set of results that is more Spurs than those 5 results. It is just crazy, but they were fantastic. Slight little tactical switch. So Brennan Johnson, who actually a lot of people were predicting would be key to this game, that him running in behind with that space would be really key. He came out. Maddison came in with a point to prove and was just so good. Was it like we asked James, our producer before it, who's a Spurs fan, which Spurs players would you like us to be kind about first? And he said all of them. Like, it's harsh to pick one to highlight. Like, Maddison's getting the headlines. Kulusevski's getting quite a lot of headlines, but they were all fantastic. And we went into this weekend with Dragishin and Davies thinking Haaland's going to absolutely do them over here, and this will be what they need to bounce back. And there were a couple of chances, but they played really, really well as well. And Vicario is in a great run of form. So Spurs, to a T, absolutely did what they needed to do. There were a couple of chances early on. They weathered the storm, and then they took their chances so well. And once Maddison, he's one of those players who can go a little bit unnoticed, but if he gets a game where he's on it, it's a scary prospect, and he had that.
I think the thing is as well is that you have to when we look at the way Tottenham are playing and the way I know we want to give flowers to Tottenham, and I do, but what Tottenham and especially Ange has always done is attack teams. It's like, we care if we're down to 9 men, that's just the way we play, mate. But this Man City team, this is the way to play them, and I think Liverpool need to take note from this for next week, is that what Manchester City have taken a lot of delight in the last season or so is teams are so scared to actually go and play against them because they're worried about how lethal they're going to be in attack. But Spurs never had that as a problem. No. So they were always going to attack. Yep. And the thing is, because City's attack is quite blunt at the moment, they're missing Alvarez so much, they're missing De Bruyne, that it was a perfect storm for Tottenham. I still think that you're going to, if you don't go and beat Fulham next week, there's no point beating Man City.
Oh, there is for us.
There is for us.
But not for them.
Yeah. So, you've got to see the consistency, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. I think they'll really kick off from here, and I think they'll have learned from those.
We said that when
it's hard to do this.
Villa 4-1.
Looking at the Tottenham shirt behind you, going, they're not. They're going to lose to Fulham next week. This is what they do. This is who we are, mate.
Yeah.
But they were just brilliant. Kulusevski. Oh my God.
Should we redo our team of the season and put Kulusevski in it?
Well, yeah, but they put him on the right wing.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have him above Salah and you wouldn't have him above Saka. So, no. But he was absolutely brilliant.
That pass for the Maddison goal was so good. Pinpoint. And Maddison's just in there. He's like, it's on his weak foot. He's like, I've just got to get contact and it goes behind. On Manchester City, I've got so many questions to ask you about them. Mm-hmm. The first one is, what is happening to Foden? Like last year's Player of the Year, I think he's got no goals or assists in the Premier League this season.
I sent you that thing of his entire season and his fantasy football, because I've got Foden in my fantasy team. I haven't anymore.
Yeah. So
spoiler alert.
What's going on there? B, Kevin De Bruyne's been back for a month and a half and he can play 15 minutes in this game. What is happening? Surely De Bruyne is fit, and surely in a game like this... He
isn't, though. We've known he's not. He wasn't fit all of last season. He could barely get round the pitch. He's done. They should just sold him. I just don't understand it. If you're not going to play him when he's available to play, then you should have just sold him to Saudi and got some money and filled the position. I think the issue they brought Gundogan in and he's been rubbish.
He's not been good.
And it was a great idea because he was free and he'd been brilliant for Man City before. It was a perfect idea. Yeah. But I think it stopped them going and getting someone that can actually have made a difference.
Yeah. And the other thing is we were like, last week we were like, well, they haven't really signed a Rodri replacement. They've got Kovacic, who was the closest thing they had, but still far away from it. And then he was out. Yeah. So then
he's out for a month as well.
Yeah. But he's not, they don't have it. And Kyle Walker.
Yeah.
I mean, a bit of an inquisition.
Werner just absolutely powered past him.
If you're getting the point where you're being outrun by out of confidence Timo Werner, then I think we really do have problems. And the other player, what is Rico Lewis's best position? I really like him, and Pep obviously likes him. And there's moments you think he fits that City team. He's good enough to be there. But what position is he? Because he's not good enough to be a right back. He's not defensively solid enough. You put him at right back, every left wing in the league will lick their lips going up against him. And you put him in midfield, and he's nowhere nearly good defensively enough to play that role.
We weren't saying this last year. We were going, Rico Lewis, he's young talent, and he's great at being this inverted fullback, which is what Pep loves.
Because he didn't have to do so much defensively because Rodri was there. And now all of these defenders who are actually not that great defensively and just want to attack are being found out because Rodri's not there to cover it. But is it just a system thing?
You look at Arsenal without Odegaard and now Man City without Rodri, and it's just two managers that are so the system is everything.
Yeah.
And you can't have a backup for Rodri who's as good. Yep. You can't have a backup for Odegaard. I know we'll get into Arsenal as well, but maybe that's just the thing. It just doesn't work. But Pep's supposed to be the best manager of all time. So why has he not come up with a solution?
Well, I mean, City still created over 2 XG in this game, and Spurs only created 2.5. So maybe the result... The XG makes it...
But it's been like that for a while.
I actually think... I was about to say, the result flatters Spurs, which it maybe does very slightly, but that XG massively flatters City. There's no way that game was nearly as close as that XG.
But that's because Haaland has not got the confidence that he had at the beginning of the season. Haaland had one chance, which came onto his right foot, which usually he'd have just hammered in with his right foot. He put it back on his left, smacked it straight into the defender, and then another chance to hit the bar. I'm starting to think that Haaland is looking like Darwin Núñez of 2023. Right? Because Darwin Núñez at the end of 2023, the end of 2023 season was hitting the woodwork all the time. Right? And you were looking at that going inches the other way, he's scoring 17 to 25 goals.
Haaland.
He is. But if you look at it at the moment, it's it just shows that confidence is absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And maybe that comes back against Liverpool.
Yeah. I can't see that game ending anything but a Liverpool win next weekend, though.
So then do you think that's the title just gone then for City?
No, because I think they're more likely to win 10 on the bounce than any other team.
Really?
But I don't think it's that at the moment. But if Liverpool win, how far are they behind?
They would be 11 points clear if they won.
11 points clear of City.
Of City, sorry. Yeah.
Much. Thank you very much.
They would still be 9 points clear of Arsenal and Chelsea.
If we win.
And Brighton.
If we all win.
If we all win.
The issue is I don't see them being able to find a solution in their squad at the moment unless it's doing something that Pep won't do.
No. And what I also saw was that the attitude from the Man City players, they were very tetchy all the way through, throwing their hands up in the air, arguing with each other, arguing with the ref. And it wasn't stuff that was going against them. They were just like, any free kick, oh, God. And I just feel like there's been a sort of arrogance about Man City for the last couple of years, which is just, it all goes our way. Yeah. And it isn't at the moment. And to be honest with you, Pep, you've got to earn your money, man. Like, you're supposed to be the best manager in the world. Find a solution.
His interview after the end of the game where he's still just like smiling away. And I'm like, but it's definitely not all rosy. Like, he signs a new contract. Rodri comes out with his Ballon d'Or to show it. And then they get beat 4-0 and they look completely still out of ideas. Like, yeah. I love it.
I do love it, but I'm just still annoyed because Arsenal aren't there like they were last year. But I think with the Guardiola thing is that I don't think it's a good enough attitude to just go, we can win the Premier League every season. Yeah. You know, we won it 4 times in a row. We got 4 times in a row.
So just admitting to
what? So just what, you're just going to give it up? You're just going to throw it and just go for the Champions League then?
Yeah.
Like,
they won't win that either, the way they're playing.
No. Oh, I'd really hope they beat Liverpool next week. Do you think that's better for title challengers for Man City to beat Liverpool next week?
Yes.
Is that an easy question?
I would say so, because like 9 points clear for Liverpool is a lot. Like, I would rather, I think for Chelsea, for Arsenal, for Brighton, for the others, I think City need to beat Liverpool next weekend. I think they need at least a point. Well, we need Liverpool dropping points next week. A draw is perfect.
A draw's perfect, but I actually think your first answer was right. I think we need City to win. Because say Liverpool had not had this start, I think Arsenal and Chelsea would be going, look, we're only 1 point behind City and it's December.
It's true.
Lovely.
But then we still have it in the back of our minds that City are capable of winning. You don't want City to get too far away.
I know they keep talking about this, and obviously I'm a biased Arsenal fan, but Arsenal did that last year as well. Yeah. For the second half of the season, won 16 of 18 games.
But City still scare me more that they'll go on this run.
Of course.
And I'd rather City not get away from me than like Liverpool be 6 points clear, for example. Maybe that's harsh. Moving on to one of the teams in the title charge.
The early kickoff, Leicester 1, Chelsea 2.
You love it, don't you, man?
I actually like this game was a bit weird. Like 12th day kickoffs after an international break are always a little bit nervy because you're like, is it going to go the way you want? We were really good in this game until we started giving the ball away in stupid positions. We controlled the game really well. Enzo came back in. He's just gone through his divorce and he looks like a man he's been weighing him down, I think. I think we've been seeing him play where his mind's not on the pitch, and he was really good in this game. We saw a little bit of a tactical switch, so we didn't have a right back, so Gusto wasn't in the squad, and Reece James has picked up another injury, and João Felix came in, and he sort of played left central, like 10, and Cucurella played really wide on the left. And I think Maresca said we might see Felix and Palmer play together, and it worked really well. Like Felix played well, Cucurella was pretty good up the left-hand side, Jackson superb. Chelsea put an article, there's an article in The Athletic, which is from Chelsea, I think, saying that we believe these top 3 strikers in the Premier League. And I thought, well, yeah, obviously. And then I'm like, well, maybe he's not, because would Isak and Watkins go above him and Haaland? But he's top 4. I think.
He just continues. I mean, I really love that finish. I think it's great. And I think his...
It's because he might not be the top 4 goal scorer, but he is so good at what he does with the rest of the team.
I mean, I would put other players in there as well. I would put Cunha in there. I would put Havertz in there. I would put
Pedro in there. Yes, but just continues to do what he does, and it was very impressive. The thing,
it's a lovely finish, and it's a real finish of confidence. Like, he just looks a player who's in supreme confidence. He's clearly a very confident guy, which you need to be as a striker. And I think even his his assist for the Enzo goal as well.
Yeah.
So I think. He's supremely confident in the moment.
Then you have a situation where Madueke blocks Palmer's shot.
I wanted to get out of the way.
He did, and I'm not having to go at Madueke for it, but so it's good to see that, because this time last year they were arguing over penalty, and it's good to see the bias. But if we hadn't have won this game, them laughing and joking about that not going in wouldn't be as funny. Like, at the moment, I was like, yeah, that's fine, but we are only 1-0 up. And they are getting some chances. Yeah. And if we don't win that game, that situation isn't quite as laughy and jokey. We should have finished that and we would have won the game. Then they had a penalty which wasn't given, which I thought should have been a pen. But then the more I look at it, he runs into Fofana. Fofana doesn't really trip him up. I mean, he runs into him. And then the one at the end is of course, like a blatant penalty. And how you go do. Like, if anyone watches this game and one doesn't understand why Chelsea fans are frustrated with Sanchez in goal, this will be it. Like, we're controlling the game and they get into the game because we give the ball away in our own box, basically. And like, it's just what we do. And that's why, like, in FPL, I'll never own Chelsea defenders at the moment. Like, I might change my mind, but because we just do stupid stuff.
You mentioned something about on Twitter about Palmer dropping deep. What does that do?
So in games where
FPL term.
Yeah, so like in games where like we have to like break them down, he often drops deeper to try and get the ball. And when Felix is central as well, it does it a little bit. It doesn't concern me, like, because if that goal goes from Palmer, it doesn't massively concern me from an FPL point of view. The other headline from this, of course, is that Leicester now no longer have a manager.
Yeah.
I told you.
Second manager of the season?
Yeah, been sacked. I'm sure we might have another one after tonight's game, but let's wait and see. Yeah. I said they'd go down if they kept him. I've been big on he's not good enough here.
Do you know what I think? The thing is, I think that we've not spoken about before is that obviously they're going into this season, this points, possible points deduction hanging over them, which if they go back into the championship, they could have the points deduction because it's the championship body that could give them the points deduction. But they obviously lost Maresca. They weren't expecting to go into the Premier League losing Maresca, who they were playing against. So then if you've got to imagine, if you're like recruiting a new manager, you're going, right, we don't know if we're going to have a massive 12-point deduction.
Yeah.
Who do we get?
I'm just going to check they haven't got anyone while you're talking.
But 12 games in, I think it's going to be Potter, by the way. Do you? Yeah. And that's who they should have got in the summer because he's the perfect type of manager.
Still not in a job.
But what I would argue is if you're a Leicester fan, where do you think Leicester are going to be with this group of players? You know, they're 2 places above 2 points above the relegation zone. Where do you think Leicester are going to be? Like,
they haven't been good though.
But Steve Cooper, he's ex-Nottingham Forest manager, so he's never, the fans are warm to him anyway. I don't think he got on with the boards that well. So I think it's probably better that they went earlier instead of where they left it too late when they had Brendan Rodgers. And I suspect they'll get Potter, and that could really be a positive move. But I don't know if they've got the players because that Fatawa's now out for the season, isn't he? And like he was their best player. Yeah. I don't think they've got the players.
There are a few teams down there around them though, which also don't look great as well. But their Potter is favourite. They're closely followed by David Moyes. Van Nistelrooy was last night. Van Nistelrooy is third. So, and between them, there's actually no one else. So sounds like it's going to be one of those two. I don't think it'll be Van Nistelrooy. I think it'll be Potter. And apparently David Moyes is holding out because he wants to go back to Everton.
Right, yeah, that's what I heard. Well, I heard Everton fans on the radio last night talking about it, but we'll get to the Everton game. But I think that Potter would be the perfect manager for this. Potter! Shut Potter! But I just don't think they've got the players. And if I look at teams, okay, Southampton are worse.
Yeah.
Right? But I think we saw really good positive signs from Crystal Palace. Ipswich looked great going forward. Wolves were obviously brilliant. I think West Ham look an issue, but if they get rid of Lopetegui, so I think Leicester are going to go down.
Yeah.
And maybe it's good. Maybe, yeah, Potter, you get shut Potter in, and then he can bring him back. You got a bit of Harry Potter about you, the glass.
The same middle name as Harry Potter.
What is it?
James, because that's what Harry's
glasses are called. I bet you love Harry Potter, don't you?
I don't really.
Do you not? You give off a Potter fan vibes.
I don't really read books.
Do you not?
No.
See, again, you give off a book reading Potter fan.
Do I?
Yeah, that's your vibe.
Too busy watching football. Yeah, football.
So, yes, they have sacked Potter. We shall see how that changes things. Shall we move to the other title challenger? Arsenal. So, Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. This was great, right? I watched this in full. Arsenal were back in business, man. Like, I was really big time. I was worried when I saw the lineup and he'd started Gabriel Jesus, Rice and Havertz were benched. He started Jorginho. Jorginho hasn't started a game. It was like that Ian Wright meme. It was, I thought you was dead. I thought and then like Jorginho started.
Gabriel Jesus.
And then the Mateusz kid's like, you what, sorry? Zinchenko came on. I thought you was dead. And so it was unbelievable. And it was actually we looked like Arsenal of last season. Yes, we brought in real technical players. And Odegaard just makes all the difference. Him and Saka together, man. Like, Saka looked better. And I loved that Arteta, they were like, someone asked Arteta, they were like, well, was Saka really injured? And he was like, we send him the MRI scan. Like, it was like, Saka's had one training session, if we believe Arteta, and he looked back to his absolute best.
That Odegaard-Saka link-up is like, defenses must, like Calafiori said it, defenders hate playing against it.
Yeah.
And you were so good for having Odegaard back in.
Because you can't just double up on Saka if Odegaard's there. And that's what teams have just been doing, is just like, we'll double up on him because Martinelli's not good enough for them to switch it because Martinelli's been out of form. So it doesn't matter. And Trossard couldn't do anything in the 10. But now Odegaard's there. Like, it's confusing defences all around. And I think if you look ahead to Arsenal's next 6 games, I think, what have you got the fixtures there? When I looked at it before, I think Arsenal could win every game.
West Ham away, Man United at home.
So wait, slowly.
West Ham away,
win.
Man United at home,
In.
Fulham away,
Win.
Everton at home,
Win.
Palace away,
Win.
Ipswich at home.
Win.
All
Right, so that's 6 games in a row I think that we can win.
Yep.
And then, so Liverpool really can't be dropping points, because I think if we can get 4 points behind them by that point, then it really is game on. So I always thought this Nottingham Forest game was going to be absolutely huge, but just seeing Arsenal play in a way that we played last season was even more important.
Yeah, you were really good. Claudio Ranieri got his goal.
You love this, don't you? You're as proud as this, or you Ben me jokes.
Yeah.
Right? Claudio Ranieri. But so Ethan Nwaneri.
Yes.
My hot take on this is that they should have just been playing him earlier. Like, we'll get to the Liverpool game, but it's like, you look at Tyler Dibbling, like, you can play these boys. Right? I don't care what Arteta says. Like, it's like, we got to build it brick by brick, brick by brick, got to build a house. We've got to make sure the cement is dry before we give him another brick. But like, every time he plays, he's fantastic. Yeah. Right? So if he'd have been playing in that 10 position, because that's his position, he's back up to Odegaard, he comes on, he immediately takes around 2 players and he goes narrowly past the post. Then he scores a gun. He's brilliant. I think if he'd have been playing, we'd have 5 more points.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was a great performance. I do think Forest were not good.
No.
And I don't want to accuse them of anything, but I think they have prioritised different games. So there are a couple of key players, like Gibbs White didn't start, like Chris Wood's not in there. They've got Ipswich at home next week. I think he's gone a little bit and as soon as Alanga got a slight knock, he was off. He just took him off straight away. I think there's been a little bit in this that he realises that this maybe wasn't the fight that he wanted to fight, and he knows that if he beats Ipswich next weekend at home, that is a massive game for them. They're just pushing themselves further and further away. No one's putting Forest anywhere near the drop, but they beat Ipswich and they are just, completely out of that conversation. I do feel a little bit
man, that just seems a bit negative. If that is true, I just think that's a bit negative. You got a week until that game.
I know.
As you got an Arsenal team that won in 4 games.
Yeah, but Gibbs White's obviously not fully fit. He's had injuries, so he's gone, well, I don't want to risk that when they've got Ipswich at home next week. I think there might have been a little bit in it. They were not good as well.
No, they weren't.
This was
they
one of them worst performances of the season.
But I think also often with that, it's that's because Arsenal made them look like that.
Yeah, that is true.
So I was really, really happy with that, because I don't think it was just, this was Arsenal 4 or 5 years ago. You'd win a game like that and you'd be, oh, great. Yeah, we won a game. But this Arsenal team is capable of going on a big old run.
Yeah.
And I believed in it when we saw that, because we've got Sporting Lisbon tomorrow night. Then we've got West Ham away next week. They need to rotate the players. And I thought Gabriel Jesus had an okay game. He almost scored. He pressed really well. I thought Jorginho did well. I think the only reason Jorginho came off was because he had a booking and Arteta was petrified of going down to 10 men again. So all in all, really positive. Nottingham Forest obviously have had such a great start to the season, and this wasn't it. And we'll be interested to see how they do against Ipswich next week.
Yeah. Let's go back to some of the other 3 o'clock games.
Yeah.
Aston Villa, Crystal Palace. This game didn't go quite as maybe we'd expect it to after the international break. We thought I think everyone predicted an Aston Villa comfortable win in this game, which is not what we got.
Well, this is Villa, they haven't won since September. And this is 5 games now without a win. And maybe 6 games without a win.
Yeah.
And, this feels quite what you see from Emery. And it was better from Palace. They made some changes. Ismail Assar was really good. Nketiah was on the bench. And that you've got to be looking at that Nketiah signing now and thinking that's really not worked. Mateta looked back to his best. Will Hughes played really well. Lacroix defended superbly. That's, he was supposed to be their big replacement. So it was a really good performance from Palace. And I think, it was nice to see Devaney, the Scottish.
Yeah.
So Richard scoring his debut.
That passage of play, right? It's like the Deeney,
Yeah.
saved penalty, which wasn't the best penalty.
No, and it wasn't a penalty anyway.
No, fine. Good save.
Yeah.
Though, any penalty save is pretty much a good save. Yeah. They got the other end and they score, and it's a really, really tidy finish from him. And suddenly the game's gone from I think that was to take Villa 3-1.
2-1.
2-1.
Oh, sorry.
That managed to go 3-1 up and then 2-2. And it's just such a swinging closing doors moment.
Yeah, I think was it that? I thought it was to go 1-1, and then I can't remember now.
I think it was 1-1 at the time, maybe.
Oh right, yes. So 1-1 said make them go 2-1, but then Palace went 2-1, and then they equalised. Yeah. And I think look, Watkins hadn't scored for a little while, so good for him to get a goal. It was a good finish. But I would say with Villa, obviously they've had a really positive start. They've been brilliant in the Champions League. But these performances have not been good.
And the issue is they've now got Juventus in the Champions League this week, and then they play us. And if they don't win this game in the Champions League midweek, it then means the next time the Champions League comes around, they have to win that game. Because they've dropped a couple of points in the Champions League now in this run where they haven't. And it's starting to look like, well, they need to win every game. It's not like they can prioritise one competition over the other. That they need to win in the Prem now, and they need to win in the Champions League. And they have games every 3 days. And we're starting to see that their squad can't really play it.
I think in the same way that we know Man City without Rodri, Villa without Douglas Luiz from last season.
And Onana was not in this. And Konsa wasn't in either.
And I think that you're starting to see that if they can't have that control, then they are really, really vulnerable. And obviously you've got Martinez. He made a fantastic save at the end for Schlupp, which could have, they could have lost the game. But yeah, it's worrying signs for Villa, but positive signs. And I think Glasner was very happy. I think he was a little bit disappointed not to get the win for Palace. But that was the Palace that would give me a lot of confidence that they could stay up.
Yes,
and far better performance.
He basically said that Eze was available, but they weren't going to take him because they didn't want to run a risk because it was pretty touch and go. So they should have him back for next weekend, which is, a bit of a boost for them. But Villa without Konsa and without Onana in the midfield is a big loss. Like they probably wouldn't have conceded the goals that they did if Konsa's in there. So and there's a little bit of that going on. But they need their players. Like every team going into this Christmas period needs their players off the treatment and into the starting 11 again. And if you're going to be without them, games come so thick and fast that you can't rotate. You've got players tired and injuries will start piling up even.
And because, there's the amount of points that are up for grabs in this next 6 weeks is massive.
Yeah.
In the same way that, I was looking at very positive at how Arsenal could go in 6 games in a row.
Yeah.
Like if you lose a couple of games, you're suddenly at 8th, 9th in the table. But in the same way, the Palace could very, very conceivably win a couple of games over the next 3, and then we're not talking about them as relegation. And, I think they will keep Oliver Glasner, which was the right decision. I thought really good positive signs for Palace, and
I mean, their fixtures don't scream wins. We've been through their fixtures so many times, but it doesn't scream wins. Let's talk about the Battle of the Beaches.
I like that.
South Coast Derby. That's Peter Drury written all over it.
There it is. The Battle of the Beaches. We'll find them on the beaches.
Bournemouth won.
Well, why are you not saying the other title contender, Brighton?
Brighton, the other title contender.
Hurtsler, man, under the radar, one of the managers of the season.
And they do have the fixture run that could keep them up and near the top of the table. And they look like a team that can absolutely go and do it. It was a game of quality versus quantity in this. Brighton had 6 shots versus Bournemouth having 19, but they created almost the same XG in this game. So that's Bournemouth shooting as much as they can and Brighton, doing 8 chances. Nice little follow-up from João Pedro for his tap-in and that pass for the Matoya got really beautiful. As an FPL manager, we focus on João Pedro, but that pass just is a thing of beauty, and it shows why the manager loves him so much.
And I think if we talk about the Odegaard's difference of him coming in, and I also would like to say just on Man City, I think if Kevin De Bruyne can start next week against Liverpool, I think that makes a huge difference to everybody. But Matoma having Pedro in there, it makes a huge difference.
I mean, it's a whole difference to the whole team.
Yeah. And with Evan Ferguson on the bench, they've got some really good attacking options. I thought the Belieber red card was a bit harsh.
I don't think it's a foul, let alone a yellow.
So, he got his first yellow is a bit stupid, but it's a yellow. But a second, I don't think it's a foul.
This is why you should be able to review second yellow card.
Well, I agree. I think you have to now. Second yellow cards, yeah.
Then I asked the same question I always ask. So do you review the first one?
What, go back and review the...
Because if the second one's yellow but the first one's not, then you're still getting...
So we can't go reviewing yellow cards, but you have to review the second because it makes such a big difference.
And this does massively change the game. It does just show that Brighton have a player like a Matoma and like a João Pedro that, although Semenyo's been good, they've got good players in there, they don't have that same level of like clinicality in front of goal, and that's what they missed. They've created enough chances. Evan Nilsson had one or two that, like, absolutely he should have taken one of those, and he's finding his feet in the league, but it's not quite the clinicality that they want from
Evan Nilsson.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because he was a whisker offside.
Yeah.
So if he's not a whisker offside, True scores a goal and we're going, oh, another goal for Evan Nilsson.
Yeah.
So, I would say that Pedro coming into the team, I didn't realise how good he was. And he looks so clinical. He's another one when we're talking about Jackson. He's quite arrogant, which you need. And Brighton's slump came after he got injured, if you want to call it a slump. But yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting period for Brighton.
Here's a question for you on João Pedro. How old do you think he is?
Ooh, 24.
23. He scored 4 goals this season. How many shots do you think he's had this season?
6.
5. 1.7 XG, and he scored 4 times. But I'll read you their run of fixtures, and do you think they lose any of these, just like we did this?
Okay, that's okay.
Southampton at home.
Win.
Fulham away.
Yeah, draw.
Leicester away.
Win.
Palace at home.
Win.
West Ham away.
At the moment, win.
Brentford at home.
2-2. Always treated 2-2. But yeah, I mean, that's huge.
They could easily be still in it when we get...
I think that's Arsenal's next difficult game is Brighton away, which is like middle of January. Like Arsenal are going to lose next game, by the way. Don't wait, I'll talk about this. But yes, I know exactly. But yeah, it's hugely positive for Brighton. And as far as FPL goes, I've already bought in Pedro. I went early.
Yeah, nice.
Saturday night because I wanted to get him so I could bring in. I wanted to get him before he went up in value. But he's perfect for FPL. 5.6.
Let's talk about a game that maybe doesn't need us to talk about. Everton 0, Brentford 0.
Yeah. This is interesting, isn't it? You know, I read a fact that only Real Madrid have got more points at home in Europe than Brentford this season.
Yeah, so their away form's rubbish, but then they played like City, Chelsea, like Arsenal. Like their away form's driven by fixtures, but then they go and put in a performance like this, and it's like, well, actually, is it a home versus away form thing for them, or is it just a
fixtures?
Everton at Everton at home with Dyche, this is what they do when they're at home. They don't create chances and they defend really well. I still feel like it's more like that than a Brentford away thing, that it's the fixture base. Like Everton just love not to concede goals.
Yeah. And I think the sending off is quite harsh. So if for those of you who haven't, so you think, see, the thing is, right, he goes in for the ball, it's not Damsgaard, Norgard. Norgard goes in for the ball, and he is looking at the ball, but then he catches Pickford high. Now, when I first saw it, I was like, that's not a penalty. Sorry, that's not a sending off. And then on the replay, it looks awful. But if you look at his eyes, he's looking at the ball, Pickford goes for it, and if he doesn't go for the ball, you'd be going, well, you've got to go try and score a goal at that point.
So, do you remember last year when Pickford, or 2 years ago when Pickford did it against Liverpool?
Yeah.
And it was very similar. He went for the ball, and everyone was like, well, Pickford should have been sent off for that. I still think it's dangerous.
It is dangerous.
And I still think...
But if he doesn't see him, the intention is, so to what, he has to just be aware?
Yeah.
Right.
You have to be aware that if you're going in with your foot at that height, you have, like, if you connect with someone, you're going to get sent off for it. Like, I know you're trying to win the ball, but I don't know. I don't like tackles like that very much. I know he's just...
It's a nasty...
I can see why he's been sent off for it.
Okay.
Because, Pickford came out from it unharmed, but if he breaks Pickford's leg, then...
Yeah. Because he's
that high. So
that's what you're trying to do, is not endanger
other players. And I think a lunge like that is endangering another player.
Because I suppose if his foot is at a different angle...
If he goes in without, studs, then maybe it's not a red, but it's like...
My daughter goes to Baby Valley, so it's like good toes or naughty toes.
Yeah.
That was his... If it's good toes, he was naughty toes. If he's good toes, he would have been all right. Because then he doesn't injure somebody. They need to go have Baby Valley lessons. But which obviously... So that made a difference as well. But I know the Everton fans are not happy. You know, listening on the phone-ins and stuff because they're determined to get through to next season in their new stadium. And this does Deitch keep them up?
Just not creating enough. Like, their defense is doing nothing wrong. Like, their defense every week must be. There's that like meme that people use of the drawing of the horse, which is really good on one side, really bad on the other side. And this is them, right? Their defense is really solid, and it's like one of the top half defenses in the league. But then you have at the other end Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who still can't finish his dinner, and Neil had a really nice period, and then it's like they don't have. They do have goal scorers in that team, but they're not scoring goals. So I still think that team's good enough to stay in the league, because I think they'll get games like this and they'll find a goal at some point.
Yeah.
But they don't get
Head coach Sky won.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't start.
I was happy. He was on my page. I heard it and I was like,
Lewis gets 0 points. Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say on this, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how things go. Everton, obviously, if you've got someone that can manage them but they're so secure at home.
It's the weekend of fixtures. It's the podcast of fixtures. Let me read you their fixtures, right? Man United's away.
Do you have to give a quick prediction like we did last time? So Man United away, I think that's going to be a tight United win.
Okay. Wolves at home.
Lose.
Okay. Liverpool at home.
Lose.
Arsenal away.
Lose.
Chelsea at home.
Lose.
Man City away.
Wow, is that their fixtures?
Yeah.
So they win the Man City game. Wow.
So that's what I mean. Like, this was the period they needed points in.
Yeah.
And they haven't got it.
Wow, that is really grim.
Yeah, it is. A team that is capitalising on their run of fixtures, that are getting the points when they need them.
Wolves. Someone how he gets a super low.
Honestly,
Wolves
4.
Oh,
Fulham 1, Wolves 4. I mean, it actually was. I mean, what talent from Cunha, but I still look at this game and think Fulham should have taken the chance.
Oh, they started really well.
And Jimenez misses from like 4 yards at it. And if that goes in and then they're 2-0 up with their other goal from Iwobi, like they're 2-0 up and the game looks completely different.
I know. And Iwobi's goal is, it's beautiful. He's having a real season, Iwobi.
Arsenal's B team.
No, it is. I know. When you text me saying Arsenal's B team, I thought you meant because Arteta had picked a B team. But no, it was genuinely for Arsenal's B team in Fulham. Although I thought Nelson didn't have a very good game. But look, Fulham started really well in this, and it was an Ait-Nouri hit the post with an own goal, so that could have been 2-2.
Yeah.
But Cunha is the difference.
It's the guy.
My word, is unbelievable.
He'll keep them in the league, or if he gets injured, they'll go down.
Yeah,
I think it's as clear cut as that. Like, the pass for the first goal is incredible, but the touch and the finish is even better. And then the finish for their third goal, his second goal, is equally fantastic. He picks the pass for their third. He's involved in 3 of the 4 goals. The only goal he's not involved in is the last one, because I don't think he's on the pitch anymore, and they're already 3-1 up. So
I don't think you can. I know that 4-1 to Wolves, I think, flatters them scoreline wise, because Harry Wilson hits the post.
Yeah.
And then also,
if those misses early on,
and Fulham went down to 10 men because Anderson got injured and Marco Silva had already made 5 subs.
It was 3-1 at the time, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just don't think you can look at this and be like, oh, right, well, that's Wolves. That's the performance from Wolves. No, it was a good performance, but I still think Wolves concede a lot of chances.
It's one of those that I think both Wolves will take a lot of positives from it, and Fulham won't massively take that many negatives from it, because it's one of those games that it's not gone the way they wanted to, but it could have gone.
Do you worry about Ait-Nouri in your fantasy team? Because is he ever going to keep a clean sheet?
No, but is anyone else?
Right, okay.
And he's going to be in the box half the time.
Yeah.
So no, not really.
Okay.
But yeah, this just really was the Matheus Cunha show.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we know. I don't know if we mentioned this on the pod or we were talking about it before we started, but about, people transfers in January.
Yeah.
And a player like Matheus Cunha, you look at how important he could be for someone like a Man City or da-da. Yeah. But he would cost in the window in January.
They'd add an extra 30 million on him.
And the rest.
Probably more.
I text you saying this is the sort of player that Chelsea would buy for 120 million and give him a 200-year contract.
Because of how much relegation costs. It was the same when Brentford were down there when Ivan Toney came back. They didn't want to sell him because staying in the Premier League is worth what? 100 plus million?
Yeah.
So you've got to be paying the money for the player and the money for the risk that the Wolves will get relegated.
And they can't get replacement.
No.
because then everyone knows how much money you got.
Yeah.
So I don't see him going in January or anything like that. But,
It'll be gone next summer, I imagine.
Surely. But, I mean, wow.
What a player.
Unbelievable.
What a player. That is all of the 3 o'clock games. Before we move... Oh, and the evening game, of course, because we did the City one earlier. A little bit of a topic of the week. Before we do that, please do rate us 5-star if you're on podcast. Thank you very much for listening if you're on podcast. If you're on YouTube, hello.
Hello.
Please do drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We are closing in on 3,000 subscribers.
Yes, that's exciting.
Yeah, so please do subscribe and help us get there. Little bit of a weekly topic question for you at home to be having a go at. Comment on this, comment on the podcast, comment on Twitter, wherever you want to leave it. The best backups, and this came looking at the first game that we'll discuss in a moment, looking at Liverpool, particularly Kelleher, was getting a lot of plaudits, right?
Yeah.
He was very good again at the weekend.
Yeah.
Where does he rank in terms of like goalkeepers in the league? Like, is he actually a top 5 goalkeeper in the league despite being on the bench for them? And it just made me think, who have been some of the best players that actually have not started for their clubs? Now, I want to exclude a lot of the big modern day squads from it, because I'm like, okay, well, at the moment, De Bruyne is sat on the bench, but I'm not putting him in it.
Okay.
I want players who are actually backups, who are not first choice for their for their team, that are coming off the bench every week and being good. Like John Duran this season's got to be one of them as a backup to Ollie Watkins.
Maddison.
Yeah.
He's been left out of the team quite a few times, and now comes in and scores 2 goals and does his little dart celebration. You're thinking he's one of the best number 10s in the league.
Yeah.
Kelleher, absolutely superb. But there's other keepers as well out there where teams just don't seem to drop a level.
Yeah.
Like if you look at even when Stefan Ortega has come in, like, is he better than Edison?
Yeah. Well, a lot of teams are going now to the point where they want 2 very good keepers in case one to get injured and they don't have to drop their standards. So let us know in the comments who your best backups are.
Yeah.
Across the league, past, present, England, Europe, wherever you want. Let us
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
All right.
Surely up there.
Yeah, surely. But let's talk about Liverpool.
Yeah.
Top of the league.
Yeah.
What is that, 9 points clear now?
Yep. No, they're 8 points clear of
8
Man
points
City.
clear of City, 9 points clear of Chelsea, Arsenal and Brighton.
Yeah.
Was an interesting game of football, actually. I think
it was really fun.
It was really fun. Liverpool looked more weak defensively than I thought they would be. Southampton were, for most of the game, actually not bad. They created more chances than I ever expected them to. But they just do stupid shit every week.
And I knew Ramsdale was out, but so he's out for like a month.
Yeah. McCarthy is not fit to be a Premier League goalkeeper. He's not fit to be a championship
He doesn't look like a footballer, does he?
He's not fit to play for a team who want to pass the ball.
He looks like if you were down 5-a-side and he was like, oh, my dad's mate's coming down to play.
Yeah.
And he'd still be rubbish.
No goalkeeper with grey hair should be trying to pass out the back.
I don't think any footballer should be allowed grey hair. I think you should dye your hair.
Yeah.
Right in, the best grey-haired footballers. But yeah, really bad. Also, I thought terrible from... I was watching it on Sky Sports, and then we didn't even see the goal because they were showing a replay.
Brilliant.
And he just heard it, and I was like, oh...
Yeah.
And Sloboslai had scored.
If there's a situation like that, can they just cut the replay and just let us watch the goal?
Or have both screens up.
Yeah.
It was... But that's the thing I thought Liverpool were really poor in this. They attacked quite well for about 20 minutes.
They did
look like they... Well, I meant in the first half.
Yes.
They did look like they were going to score. But Southampton looked so dangerous on the break.
Yeah.
But Southampton gave them all of the goals.
Yeah.
Really.
They are top of the league for individual errors leading to goals, and they're like clear of it because they do this every week.
Yeah.
And Liverpool are the best team at pressing in the league, if not one in the world, particularly when they're under Klopp. And they're probably the number 1 team in the world that will punish you if you do stupid stuff like they do, and they did it again.
Yeah.
Penalty.
I thought it was a very, very good performance from Armstrong.
Yeah.
I think we've talked before about when Archer was playing there, and I think Armstrong has got the talent, although I think this is the first time he's ever got a goal and assist in a game.
Wow. In the Prem.
In the Prem. There was 3 players that did that this week, the first time they've done it. Enzo Fernandez was another one as well. And I think it might have been João Pedro.
Maybe.
I'm not sure he's done that in the game. Yes, so I thought Southampton going forward, and then a couple of them, their central midfielders have got
Aribo, who came on. So he didn't even
really
start
good.
the game.
No.
And then when he came on...
Because they started Lallana.
Yeah.
And Lallana was playing well.
Yeah. And
although he could have got sent off.
Yeah.
Really nasty tackle.
Aribo came on, was fantastic.
Yeah.
Him and Dibling were probably their best players, along with Armstrong.
But they're really risky the way they play. Yeah. And they're going to consider... I don't think...
They play football like they're the best team in the Championship rather than being the worst team in the Prem.
Interesting.
And you can't play like that. They're playing it like they'll dominate the game, they'll keep the ball, and they'll play lovely football. And when you're the best team in the Championship, you can do that. But when you're the worst team in the Premier League, you can't.
I do think though that this game, as a team, as a supporter of a team who are also in the title race, gave me some hope, because I thought there were a lot of cracks from Liverpool, not from Mohamed Salah, who was utterly unbelievable as always. Everything he does is world class.
Yes, but like defensively, Bradley, we've criticised Trent.
Yeah.
Bradley was all over the place.
Konate was all over.
Konate, this was probably his worst performance this season.
Yeah.
And Robertson does like Robertson does. Like, there's a clip from the Above Average FPL podcast where they say you can't complain when Robbo does Robbo things in Robbo's little corner of the pitch, which he does, and he does it all the time. He picks up yellow cards, and he gives away stuff in that section of the pitch because he just dives in. And Dibling is really clever for the penalty because he lets the ball be, and he does it all the time. And when he won the penalty against Man United, did the same. He lets the ball be far enough away from him that the defender thinks he can win it.
Yeah.
And then just as the defender thinks he can win it, he just nips in and gets it. It's so close.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that, like, although the contact may just be outside, it continues into the box.
Yeah.
Robbo's foot is clearly on the line, and like, you can't complain. Like, and I actually think if they don't give the penalty, it's a red card.
Right.
Because he's running into the box.
Yeah.
And it's either a free kick on the edge and it's then presumably a penalty.
Right, interesting, yeah.
A red card.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be annoyed at that being a penalty. But I don't think there's many arguments. And it's just a bit dumb and very good play from Dibling. But Liverpool, I think Liverpool were very lucky in this. I think Southampton gave them the goals. Salah just took the ball by the horns.
This is what we say, like, he is the one player that
can win any game of football on
He
his
looks
own.
better than ever, man.
Oh, so good.
He's 33. He took his top off, which was annoying because he lost a point in FPL and a bonus point.
Yeah.
And he captained himself in FPL, which
and he had Maddison.
FPL Focal put in, tweeted about. But yes. But on Salah, did you see this interview with him where he's been so candid about the offers that he's not received anything from Liverpool for his new contract?
Yeah, so he said, it's, for those of you who haven't seen it, he said, well, he was asked, what's your future? Everyone wants to know. He said, well, we're in December. I haven't received the offer. I'm more out than I am in. I'm more out than I am in, which is crazy. I still think he'll stay.
I think he'll stay 100%. I think this is all contract. He knows he can use the media and use all the fans to build up and say, well, you've got to get... Because surely Liverpool just got to give him whatever he wants. Yeah. Surely it is to sit him down and say, here's 350 grand a week. Mm-hmm. Like, because you're never going to replace him.
No.
But I guess he's 33, but I don't know. Look how fit he is.
Yeah, he's looking great.
All right, mate. He's a good-looking guy.
He's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, he's
he
ripped.
Takes his shirt off just to show everyone.
I know.
Every single week. One final game, as we are already an hour in. Ipswich versus Manchester United. It was, for the first 2 minutes, the new Amorim at the wheel.
Well, it was what Peter Drury said. Like, when Rashford scored, he went, "It's utopia!" And I was
sorry, but I'm at the point now where Peter Drury needs to be reserved for cup finals and top of the table.
He goes a bit.
Only.
I love him, right? And he's had so many wonderful moments. My greatest commentator of all time, him and Tilsley, they're the best.
It's just a bit much now.
I just think, Peter, right? If you're watching, listening, you can save it for the big moments. Because the big moments is great and they put that music behind it, it's beautiful. But like when Man United won them against Ipswich, it's not utopia. Like, utopia is supposed to be the most beautiful, perfect paradise. There's nothing that could be more perfect than utopia. Right? Going 1-0 up against Ipswich.
While you're 13th in the league.
It's not utopia.
It's definitely not. And the rest of the game was not. Of course, they switched to his usual 3-4-2-1.
Oh, the system.
Players, a lot of round pegs in square holes, I thought, a little bit. Ahmad actually played pretty well at wing back, but then that means Dallow's playing left wing back. They've got Mazraoui at right centre back. Luke Shaw came on at left centre back.
Johnny Evans.
Bruno played in the 10 behind Rashford. Then Bruno dropped into midfield and Rashford played fine for the first 2 minutes and then didn't
I think
play
20
fine.
minutes. I'd say Rashford tried for the first 20 minutes. He put more effort in than he's played for the last 18 months under Ten Hag.
And then went back to it.
And the thing is, look, this system that Amorim wants to play relies on, maximum energy. It's that same sort of Arteta, Maresca, Pep. Like, it's got to be maximum energy, right? And he has not got the players to do it. He's got... a 40-year-old in Casemiro and a bloke that nearly died playing in central midfield. Like that's never going to work.
I actually thought Eriksen was pretty good.
Yeah, but he's not going to be there in 6 months.
Well, this is it. And
none of them are.
He actually said, quite interestingly, he wants Bruno Fernandes to be on the ball a lot.
Yeah.
And I actually think the long-term situation might be Bruno playing in that role alongside Casemiro or whatever their other midfielders called. But yeah, that's what I think. Ugarte, that is the one. I mean, they're not great for the rest of the game.
No.
Onana should be in the team this season. I hold my hands up and admit I got it wrong.
Yes.
He was incredible. They created 2.5 XG in this game, Ipswich, and they should have scored if it wasn't for him.
Delap, who looks like he could turn into Harry Kane. Like, he is superb. But that back heel that almost went in was wonderful. I don't know how many XG create. I didn't go on my stats website this week, but Delap was just superb. And Man City have got a 20 million buyback clause on him, and I wouldn't be surprised if they activated that.
Could be a nice Erling Haaland backup.
Yeah, I mean, just fantastic, Delap. And Onana was superb. And where United have been all right defensively at times this season, they didn't look as solid this week. But I thought Amorim was really interesting, where he was like, you can play two ways. He said you can come out and you can try and win football games, or you can try and make the players work in the system that will work in the future. And he said, if you just come out and just try and win football games, then in a year's time, you haven't moved on.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a bit of pain for Man United for the rest of the season.
Yeah. It's just one of those, when there's a new manager, you just hope you get off to a winning start. Like,
of course.
Especially when it's like Ipswich and Everton. Like, you just want 6 points from those.
But they have had years and years and years of getting it wrong, Man United. Yeah. And look, Amorim is the guy right now. Liverpool wanted to get him. Yeah. Man City were talking about replacing Pep with him. Like, he's the guy right now. Yeah. So it's going to take time. I thought it was really interesting. Amorim said that he was like, I have done more media this week than I have in my 4 years at Sporting. And it's like, get used to it, buddy. Like, this is being a Man United manager, but also this is the Prem. Like, this is what it's like.
And Ed Sheeran crashed his press conference.
I know.
That was a bit...
I like Ed Sheeran. Like, I know Ed Sheeran a little bit from he used to date my sister-in-law.
Oh, right.
And he's lovely bloke, right? And I love what he's doing at Ipswich, and he's every fan's dream. He's a really humble guy, extremely talented. Like, I love Ed Sheeran. Did think it was a bit weird, him crashing that interview. And then Jamie Carragher go, yeah, come a little conversation later, mate. Come, let's go. Yeah, see you later, mate. Yeah. It was a bit weird.
The only other player to shout in this game was Amari Hutchinson. I thought he had Hutchinson had a fantastic game. He was
Arsenal sold him.
Yeah.
And he was at Chelsea before that, wasn't he?
He was. Chelsea first, I think.
He signed... Didn't Chelsea sign him?
Oh, we signed him when he was young.
And then you sold him
we sold him.
Yeah.
He was really, really good. And that goal is fantastic. It was the least they deserved from this game. So we'll see if they improve. Keeping a close eye on them.
Bad, man. You see Xerxes come on. Yeah. What a waste of money he's been.
It must not feel great for both Xerxes and Højlund that Rashford is the first choice up front. But I think it will still be Højlund. Like, Rashford didn't do anything to get anywhere near that lineup at the moment.
No.
Ahmad, I thought, was pretty good.
Ahmad's really good. He's been there real... And what's happened to... the lad that was in the England team, the defensive midfielder from Man United.
Oh, Mino. He was injured. He's been injured recently.
But is he like, how long is he out for?
Close to being back.
Because then maybe him in the centre, he's got a lot of energy. Yeah. He could be perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe him and Bruno Fernandes.
Maybe.
Who knows?
That feels quite attacking. But maybe that's what he wants. That is all the games. Of course, we have our Monday night game this evening, which is Newcastle West Ham.
Come on, Isak.
Score prediction.
4-0 to Newcastle. All Isak.
Assisted by no one.
No one. Definitely not Lewis Hall.
Definitely not Lewis Hall or Anthony Gordon.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I do think it'll be a Newcastle win, and it'll be interesting to see if we do have a new manager by the time it comes out.
No. Can he stay for the Arsenal game and then get
We had it with Man United, and then we had a fully fit Arsenal, so you don't get that.
A fully fit Arsenal? You did not have a fully fit Arsenal.
Suddenly Declan Rice was fit. Suddenly Odegaard was
they
back
weren't
from
fit.
2 months.
That's the point. He played with a broken toe.
Right.
Odegaard wasn't fit and Saka was limping.
All right. How was your FPL week?
Good. Oh, yeah, we get to talk about FPL. Happy. Although I've realised we basically have the same team now.
So a template is forming.
It's only Foden and Saka is our only difference. Saka.
Oh.
So good. Although I have now got Saka.
Yeah.
And I've bought in Pedro as well. I've gone early.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good. I'm on 62, I think, or 64.
64, I think.
64 with Isak to play tonight.
Zulane.
I'm only 7 points behind in my mini league. It's all looking good, man.
Good.
I know you are now like 50 odd points ahead of me.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's been such a turning point in this season. Like you did your
so
wild card.
happy that we sold Haaland.
Haaland
sale has worked so well.
But you did your wild card the week before me, and I looked at my team and was like, I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
Then I did my wild card after Wood had a bad game. Yeah. Sold Wood, and that's been the difference.
It has.
And the Haaland a game week early as well.
I mean, anyone who's like that, the earlier you moved out of Haaland, basically, the better you're doing. And like the past 3 weeks, it's gone so well because
and the
of
people
that.
who've even got Haaland, like I've seen people who've got Salah now and Haaland.
Yeah.
But I think that's affected them as well because they're like, I'm still going to captain Haaland against Dragerson and Ben Davis, and it's just another blank.
And then you don't have Saka, and you might not have. Yeah. And it was Palmer blank this week, but
Palmer's blank for 3 weeks.
Yes, but he could have scored. If Madueke was
He's your boy. He's supposed to be better than Saka.
He is.
What's he doing?
Well, if Madueke wasn't stood in the way.
3 weeks, man. What's going on?
Madueke wasn't stood in the way. It would have been a goal.
He was as good as Saka.
But yes, it has gone well. I've got Alexander Isak to play this week. You've already made your transfers.
Yeah, so I have sold Delap, who I love, but I've sold Delap for Pedro because I wanted to get in there before the price change. And I've also sold Foden for Saka. So my team next week is like, Saka... Yeah. I mean, Mbeumo is a little bit of a worry right now.
Leicester at home this week, though.
So Saka...
Keep him for one more, and then we'll see what we do.
Saka, Mbeumo, Salah, Palmer. Then up front, I've got Cunha, Isak, and Pedro. Let's not talk about my defence. Although double Arsenal defence, I know a lot of people have been going for that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 4 or 5 clean sheets from Arsenal over the next 6. So I'm really happy with my FPL team for the first time in about 4 weeks.
Mine did all right.
What are you looking at transfer-wise? I haven't watched your video yet.
Yeah, so I need a defender because I'm at the point now where I don't trust Mikalenko enough to play him, so he just sits on my bench the whole time and scores points. But he does have Man United away this week. I've got Rico Lewis, who is absolutely dead in the water, and I cannot wait to get rid of him. And then I've got Greaves, who hasn't played in about 2 months, but he should be back soon.
Yeah.
So I need to get a defender in. So I need to do probably Mikalenko to... I'm looking at Van Heck of Brighton. I need someone nice and cheap.
I wouldn't be surprised if Everton keep a clean sheet against United. Would you be that shocked?
Yeah, I would.
Would you?
I'm not. The thing is, I'm not going to play him. I don't trust him enough to play him.
I might have to play him. I've got Aït-Nouri. I mean, I'm the same as you basically, but my defence is the least of my worries at the moment because I've got double Arsenal defence within Gabriel and Raya, and I'll just have to rely on that and hope Aït-Nouri gets a goal.
Yeah. The other thing I've got Chris Woods.
It's going to be hard for you to sell him, man.
And I want João Pedro.
He's your Kiwi boy.
He is. So I think I'm going to have to keep him for Ipswich at home.
Lovely.
Yeah, but João Pedro's got Southampton at home. And I'll do the transfer next week anyway. So do I do it before the deadline or after the deadline? That is the question.
That is the question.
That is the question.
And that is why you tune in and you subscribe to FPL Harry. Because he knows what he's doing.
Predictions for this week have been atrocious.
Okay.
We, of course, have one game still to go, so we can't give full updates on it, but Luke and I are both doing horribly. We are both on a measly 3.5 points combined.
So if you're new to the podcast, this is the Super Brew app. It's not the orange app, it's the purple app. It's a brilliant app for predicting. It's really good. It's just a really useful app. It's really easy to use. The code is Solo Fogs.
It is.
Yes. So SOLOFOGS.
Yeah.
If you want to join our league. And we've got loads of people in our league. But you will always beat us because me and you are terrible at predicting.
Yes, and the winner of every week gets entered into a draw at the end of the season for a football shirt. So it doesn't matter if you miss 1 week because you just went to next week. And it's not a season-long thing. It's just each individual week. But get in there. We are going to have this week our first repeat winner.
Whoa!
Almost guaranteed. Well, I think guaranteed. Because top of the pile on 13 points is Dav.
Oh.
Now, Dav is our current highest scorer ever. In Game Week 9, he scored 21 points. But behind him, in second place, is Pro FPL, who was our Game Week 10 winner.
These boys need to be doing my accumulators every week.
And then third is Russ Dill, but he is 3 points behind Dav, so he basically can't catch Dav. So we are almost certain to have our first repeat winner of the season.
Wow.
So Dav and Pro FPL, you might want to check your predictions because you might, Pro FPL, you might want to go rogue to try and, predict a West Ham win, because if West Ham win, then you might go first. Because if you both predict the same, then it's...
No, I just want Dav to. I want Dav to do my FPL. Dav needs to start an FPL channel.
Yeah,
so he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So one of those is going to be our first repeat winner. But next week, well, our predictions for next weekend, we will do those now. And of course,
you haven't written yours down.
I have.
Oh, you have.
They are in.
Look at that.
Because I didn't want you to see them, so I put them in a light grey so you couldn't see them, and now I highlight them. I can see.
You're so clever.
Aren't
You're
I?
so technical, aren't you? Okay, right. Let's start off with Brighton and Hove Albion
Friday night
versus Southampton.
I've gone 2-1 Brighton.
2-1 Brighton. I've gone 3-1 Brighton.
Yeah, I did these after we saw their Southampton game, and I was slightly more positive on them.
Yeah.
So I've gone, but I have got a Brighton win. Brentford, Leicester.
I've gone for 3-1 Brentford.
I won 2-0.
Yeah, I don't know why I've got a goal in there, but yeah.
But Brentford can't defend, so.
Yes, that's why I did it.
Crystal Palace at home to Newcastle. I've gone a 2-1 win to Newcastle.
I've gone Desmond on this one, 2-2.
That is your Desmond.
That is my Desmond.
I have predicted a Desmond lower
Oh,
down.
yeah, yours is coming next. So, no, not next. Nottingham Forest versus Ipswich.
I've gone 3-1.
I've gone 1-1. I really liked what I saw from Ipswich, and I really didn't like what I saw from Nottingham Forest.
I think Forest just threw that game.
Yeah, but I think you've got a bit of Forest bias in you.
Yeah, I have big Forest bias, and I have big Villa bias because my mum's Villa.
Oh, really?
And I'm Chelsea. So all those three teams every week. Big
yeah,
wins.
yeah. So I think that's going to be a 1-1. Wolves versus Bournemouth.
Desmond 2-2.
It's your 2-2. I've gone for 3-1 in this. Although I do like your 2-2 on this one, but I think Wolves at home. Yeah,
you're getting biased by that Wolves result.
Cunha, I'm Cunha biased. That's what I am.
I do have Semenyo, but he is suspended in my fantasy team, so he's just going to have to be on my bench.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to start him.
He at the bar.
Oh, don't even.
Oh my god, it was almost an absolute Tony Yeboah.
I was on the floor.
Oh,
I heard it. Semenyo's hit the bar.
No. And that was in like the 94th minute.
Like the last kick of the game.
Glorious. So West Ham versus Arsenal.
I've gone 1-3. 3-1 Arsenal.
I've gone 0-3.
It's just London derbies. I just think there's always goals in it. So I have gone with them to score, but I have gone Arsenal to win. Chelsea Villa.
2-1 Chelsea.
This is the Daniels derby.
The Daniels derby.
It is. I've gone 2-1 Chelsea. 2-1.
Does your dad support a team?
Middlesbrough.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God, you got the whole
thing.
plethora of teams in the family. Man United Everton.
2-0 home win.
Oh, it's gone back to light grey. 2-0. I went for 1-0 for Man United.
They've got to get the win here. If they don't, they've got Arsenal away, Forest home, City away, and he's going to get a sack.
Right, Tottenham versus Fulham.
I don't know why we've predicted Spurs to win.
Of course.
I should have predicted a Fulham win here. I've gone 3-1 Spurs, and you've gone
4-1 Spurs.
It's not going to be it.
Not going to happen, is it?
I want to change it to Spurs 1, Fulham 2.
Okay, yeah, fine. Liverpool versus Man City.
This will be our match of the weekend. We'll do this first up next Monday.
Exciting.
3-1.
Is this the 4:30 game?
Yeah.
I've gone for 2-0 Liverpool. So this will be a Man City win.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, right, I reckon Man City will win it.
No,
but only because this season is mad.
Yeah.
And I actually hope they do. But yeah, I've gone for 2-0 Liverpool. You've gone for 3-1. Well, that's it.
That is it.
It's been a great show.
It has.
It's been a great weekend of football. Please do like. We're looking for those 300 likes. Give us a 5-star review. Be the first comment on the Spotify. We're now under football. That's official. We're nearly at 3,000 subscribers. Everything is rosy in the world. Arsenal won. Chelsea won. We're happy boys. FPL's going well. It's all good. Have a good week. Please comment on your thoughts of the best backups.
Yep.
Our pundits fair game. All of that stuff. We love reading your comments.
We'll put some of them in the show next week.
We will.
We always do. We always read out your best submissions for it.
We absolutely do. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.